but instead he wants an island that somebody else already has.
Right.
Like that's an island for everybody. He's like, nah, I want that one.
Go get your own.
And suing dead people too,
Yeah, is that what he's doing?
Like I think part of the people in the lawsuit were people that have since passed away.
Wow.
They're just part of this lawsuit. So yeah, he seriously has no chill when it comes to
I think he
his
was like
land.
a normal, humble guy.
He probably was. Actually, no, he never really seemed that humble because wasn't he always kind of a dick? Like
Yeah.
Jesse Eisenberg was portrayed him as kind of a dick in the social
Yeah.
network.
He just kind of lived normally, in
Yeah.
a small house.
But he has like a bunch of bodyguards though that hang out in his
Yeah.
house every single day, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I
He's fake.
think at this point
Yeah,
the
he's
philanthropic efforts are kind of a front. Like, he's a dick now.
well,
Let's just call it what it is.
Forget his trillions
Sorry,
of dollars.
Zuckerberg.
Right.
well, as of right now, we're live on Facebook.
Awesome.
Probably not for long. Hello,
And we
this is
just
Friends
lost
with
Zuckerberg as a listener. No.
All right, hello everybody. This is Trends with Benefits. This is our weekly podcast here at Digital Trends, where we also live stream on Facebook and YouTube, and we have a roundtable discussion about a bunch of different tech topics. And we want to get your opinions. We want your feedback. You're part of this whole discussion. Like I said, live on YouTube and Facebook. So put your comments in there. I see a bunch of people joining us right now, and we'll get into why we're talking about Zuckerberg and see how long we last on Facebook today here in a minute. But I'm your host, Greg Nibbler. So a lot of topics to get to, but let's introduce our roundtable first. And to my right.
I am Rick Stella, staff writer here for Digital Trends.
Excellent. And
I'm Naomi Vo. I'm part of the affiliate marketing team.
all right, and on the end,
I'm Caleb.
that's it.
Grumpy
I'm
Caleb.
just
Grumpy Caleb. No, we're real because we start out the show by calling Zuckerberg a jerk, but with more colorful metaphors. That's how you know we're real.
That's true.
We're real people, and
That's
we're
keeping it.
approachable, and we love tech.
Get a good close
That's
up
what
on
this
that
show's
smiling
about,
face
right?
now. Yes, exactly. No, that's exactly it.
Fantastic.
All right. All right. Taking a look here as people join in, and we'll get some of the comments. Looks like James Hamilton was number 2, just so everybody knows, was number 2.
Oh,
there.
number 2. Okay,
Number
gotcha.
2
Who was
in the
first?
comments.
Because
Yeah.
that's the thing I always look for on my posts.
John Gardner was number
John
1.
Gardner.
So, John, congratulations.
Awesome.
You made
Yeah, you'll be
the
receiving a prize in the mail.
But we do have a ton of stuff to get to. So VR for Facebook, that is one of the comments that was brought up. And that is kind of the leading story today that's been going on about Mark Zuckerberg, who hired away Hugo Barra, I believe is how you say his name correctly, from Xiaomi. And if you don't know who he is, he was part of the designing of Android, and then he was with Google, and now he's over there. So he's like
He's kind of a big deal.
kind of a big deal. Yeah, he's a pretty big deal. And so now he's tired with Xiaomi, and now he's going to go over to Facebook, where he is going to be helping them design and implement all of their virtual reality goals, which that is what Zuckerberg has said. He thinks that VR is the next big computing platform, and they want to be part of it, from the hardware with Oculus all the way to the software and every kind of interaction you can have with it, which is interesting. I mean, VR definitely is big right now, but I wonder how many people out there actually have virtual reality headsets. How many people have even actually tried it? And would you be interested in having something like this on Facebook, to where, we see enough posts from everybody at all times. Do we really want to put it on so I can be there with you while you're, at
Right.
your playing with your dog or whatever you're doing, or looking at your kids? What kind of content are we going to get from this? Where does he want to go from this? And I'm curious everybody's thoughts on virtual reality with Facebook in general. Is this?
I would hope it's video games and not like that sort of creepy, like, hey, I'm in your house now. I can see what you're doing. And I can see you. Yeah,
I'm watching
exactly. Yeah, every like you get a little bit, closer
Yeah.
to the living room. I hope it was video games, because that's sort of what I imagine VR, video games and I guess like entertainment, like movies and TV shows. And now
Yeah.
we've seen sporting events as well, too, with VR. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's a wide range of applications that could be, a little bit less intrusive than like letting someone into your home,
Yeah.
or like bringing the Facebook experience into like the VR world. I would say that video games and entertainment that way would be a little bit more, I guess, feasible. And
I feel like with live streaming and everything else, though, that's going on with people, just with like Snapchat or anything, it's always becoming more and more intrusive and showing more and more of your life. I mean, is it unfeasible that people would want to watch somebody in virtual reality or join along with them?
maybe a celebrity.
Yeah.
Celebrity for sure.
Celebrity experiences, like experience a day in the life of somebody walking around. And then we're getting into Black Mirror territory. I
Or
think,
being
at some
John
point.
Malkovich or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Caleb, what do you think on this?
Well,
What are
you
your
know
thoughts?
me.
Yes.
By the time we get to this podcast in the week, I pretty much hate everything. No, you know what? I think I'm on the fence with VR. I think it's either going to completely take over, or it's going to be a horrible flop. Like, I don't think there's any middle ground here. And I think, we were talking, or we'll talk about this more in a little bit. I think if people get over having something massive on their face, if the experience that you get out of putting on a pair of uncomfortable, stupid-ass VR goggles is that amazing.
Keeping it real.
Yeah, keeping it real, y'all. He's real because he swears. I'm
so
just
passionate.
thinking, like, let's talk about movies and TV shows as they are now are stupid in VR. Like, I don't want to watch a movie that way. That's dumb. But what if you made a movie where the camera was a 360-degree camera, and so you were actually in the movie as opposed to watching it, right? You see what I'm saying?
I can, but just filming something like that's going to be really hard.
Oh yeah, no, that's the thing. Is like any kind of like entertainment being applied through VR would require a massive reorganization of how we capture film or TV or whatever, right? So, but it could be done. It just depends. How far down this road do we want to go? I think right now, like one of the coolest things you can do with VR is watch a basketball game. Like we did that one time with the Gear VR.
Right.
Watch a
And you like
basketball
that.
game.
You enjoyed that, right?
You can look around and kind of see more of what's going on. You're tracking what you want to track, not what the camera man is tracking. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a fixed perspective. I thought that was kind of cool. And playing games, I'm with Rick. I think the best way to go with VR right now is with gaming and that kind of thing. More interactive gaming experiences. We were joking, like if they made CES a VR type of experience, that you should still have to get on a treadmill and walk around because that's
You're cheating
you're
otherwise.
cheating otherwise. Exactly.
Right. Your Fitbit knows you didn't
Yeah,
take those
exactly.
steps.
My
Yeah.
Fitbit does know. So yeah, I tend to want to hate on VR because I really I think it's cumbersome right now. But if they can lift that barrier and they can do some really innovative things about the stuff that they port through VR, it could take off. But I mean, who cares? Zuckerberg can throw $1 billion at anything, you know.
Well, that's true.
just to
But I
check
mean-
it out. We're just gonna
And it
we're gonna
could
check this
fail,
out,
and that
it
would be
could
fine,
totally
yeah.
fail.
But I think if you're bringing this guy over, if this guy is such a seminal part of technology and part of so many huge projects,
Right.
I mean, he made Xiaomi $1 billion industry in India. Then I didn't know this beforehand because I just started reading about this today. But yeah, I mean, this guy's a big deal. If you're bringing him over for that, clearly you
He's
really
serious.
want to go for it.
No,
yeah.
he's serious. I
You're
know
serious
he's
about
serious.
it.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm as optimistic about the future of VR as Zuckerberg is, though.
There are some great comments coming in, so I want to try to get to some
Yeah.
of these on Facebook and YouTube. So let's see. Drew asked, so are they partnering with a specific company? I believe he wants to do it all internal with Oculus, which they already purchased, and try to keep it all with themselves. As far as I understand, who knows? I'm sure they'll partner with maybe outside content. For maybe that part of it,
Game
the software
developers
and
too, I
hardware.
imagine, too,
Yeah,
yeah.
but the software, hardware, basic platforms, I think they want to be on the ground floor of that, is my impression of what he was saying. Also asked, AR should be where Facebook turns. Drew also pointed that. And I think that's going to be part of it as well, the augmented reality. But in particular, this VR segment seems to be, they really, really want to capitalize on that. Like, for whatever reason, he believes this. Christian says, it's going to go beyond that, and you'll probably be able to lucid dream with VR light sensory input. That's kind of creepy. So what, you'd have a dream and you can tell it what your dream want to be, what you
Sort
would
of
want
like
your dream to be.
Inception style or
Yeah,
something, where you like
Inception
to control
or
your dreams a little bit.
Total Recall.
They brought that up for people like going on deep space missions, giving the crew VR so that they could escape from being in like a really claustrophobic area for so long, and give them a way to sort of control their dreams or something to do while they were kind of cooped up on a long, like I don't know, like several decades of travel.
Okay,
you know?
that's not actually that's interesting. I mean, I could see that. I guess
Instead of
if
just
you're
being
getting to
like
that-
in this spaceship in the middle of literally nowhere forever, and then like giving them a kind of something to do. They would almost live in like this VR experience, and like they feel it would be better for people like to go stir crazy.
Okay.
I feel like everywhere is somewhere. Somewhere is
Right, and maybe space
That
is
really
a bit more
is- really
slow,
is
you
at
know.
nowhere.
It's not the middle of nowhere because it's literally here
from the-
somewhere. Yeah.
upcoming philosophy book by Caleb that you'll get.
I'm telling
like
you,
we're always somewhere.
we're going deep dive on this podcast.
Do you ever feel like you're nowhere? You're wrong.
All right. Hamilton on Facebook says, I want the Samsung Gear 360 to be compatible with Facebook VR Stream. I also own a Samsung VR headset. It'd be a perfect fix. A VR meeting would be perfect. I can see that in a business setting. to actually be in the room with somebody?
I'd like to go ahead and just sort out like stable video conferencing first. Like anytime anytime we try to have a video meeting here at Digital Trends, and let's keep in mind that we're technology experts
Right.
here,
Experts.
it just crashes and burns. I feel like can we just fix the stuff that's broken first, and then we can move into these new areas? That'd be great. Thanks.
Nope. On to the next one.
Oh, okay, VR
This ain't
sucks.
working. Let's
Yeah.
just skip it and move on to the next thing.
Let's see, Gillian, we can get 20 to 50 free likes. I'll just let everybody know that right now if we click on that. So Caesar says,
What is happening right now?
Live
This is
on
what
Facebook,
happens
the
when you
magical
let the
internet.
public into the room. This is what happens. You get a railroaded podcast.
This is the internet. Are you surprised? The
I
internet has the
suppose
power
not.
to do this.
this is it. With
But we
VR,
just
we
have
can watch
some
him
people-
get those
yeah.
likes. Caesar says, I don't believe VR will catch on as a full-fledged at-home entertainment system, which is just
Yeah.
kind of reset one of the
Yeah.
things we were talking about, whether VR is going, what Facebook's ideas of VR, but this does kind of transition to what else we're going to talk about. I don't believe VR will catch on as a full-fledged at-home entertainment system. It's going to be... It just reset on me. It's going to be an expensive piece of equipment, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was introduced into competitive gaming. So you can see it as a competitive gaming aspect. But then wouldn't you at home want to join along? Because that would be one aspect where you could play along with somebody.
Well, I mean, history has shown us that the computing power increases as the size of the hardware needed to do that decreases. So eventually, it's not going to be a big deal to have VR in the home.
And there's even talk
Right now it is.
wireless too. So that's
Well,
that's
I mean,
the biggest.
that
one.
was the big
At CES, right?
progression for the HTC Vive.
Yeah,
was
right.
that they've started to figure out wireless, and I mean that's there you go.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's a huge step. Now you get the hardware a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter, a little bit more affordable, and yeah, it'll be in people's homes.
Okay. When we need to get to this, because that's actually ties into something else that's happening today, of another technology that's supposedly dead. But before we do that, Todd on YouTube just wrote there are some 360 live casters on Periscope, pretty cool stuff. With or without goggles, still want to see NBA in VR, and that's kind of what we were talking about. They have been broadcasting some stuff in VR, and I've seen some. It is pretty cool. I think if they get to the point where you could ever actually see it from a player's perspective, like one guy, if they could get the camera system down to like a headband, and you could actually watch it, from
That
Kevin
sounds
Durant's
wild.
nauseating to me. Like,
Well, but if it was full
it's like
360,
LeBron's just bobbing around.
just sprinting everywhere. It's like on Russell Westbrook. He's like dunking, and you're just like
Yeah.
throwing up in your house.
it'd
You're
have
like,
to
no,
be
that was
not
fun
from
though.
his eyesight. It'd have to be if he moved around, it'd still stay maintain.
It needs some
So like
serious image stabilization.
Yeah.
stabilizer on his
yeah,
headband.
I don't know. It's an idea,
But they have done
I'm with
NBA
you,
games
Todd.
though this year. I think there was like a Blazers Knicks game earlier this year at Madison
Yeah.
Square Garden. I think Keith Nelson, a writer for us, went and covered that. But they're starting to get into more of that. More, I know basketball's like an easy one. There's always something going on there, but like we said, I mean, last year with March Madness, they were doing it as well too.
Yeah.
But that seems like a space that they're obviously trending into. Should VR
Yeah.
stick around for a little while?
Well, so I guess it's kind of up in the air. Some people think it's going to go away. Some people think it'll go into this. Into
Which
that kind of
actually would be
aspect.
curious to know the people who think it's going to go away. Like, do you like VR? That'd
Is
be a
it
good
just
question.
that?
If you just don't like it, you think, oh, well, I think it's going to go away.
You know what? We didn't talk about that, and we need to move on. But the fact of the matter is, if you haven't experienced VR, then you really shouldn't be passing judgment on it. Because
Sure,
I think
absolutely.
It's hard. You don't really know how cool it can be until you've done something with it. And we're really fortunate because we've gotten to play around with it quite a bit here.
Right.
You're right.
But a lot of people haven't. I think if they've tried it, they'd be like, "Oh, this is sweet. No, this is definitely going to happen." You know what I mean? So
Well-
just a different perspective.
Right.
Well, something else that kind of came out, and I think a lot of people did get a chance to experience this, and apparently didn't really like it that much, were 3D televisions. So, talking about technology that seems to be going away, there's
I love that Naomi is being so Caleb on this topic right now. She's like, "I hate them.
I hate
them."
All right,
and she's
Naomi.
so quick to say it. Tell us why you
As
hate
Let's
them.
somebody
go
who
straight
has
to
really
you.
bad vision, first of all, when it first came out, I had to wear my glasses on top of those 3D glasses, so that was a nightmare. And I just feel like there's no good content that comes out for like 3D movies or 3D like anything. It just all
So, do you hate 3D movies at the movie theater?
yeah, I don't like those.
So-
They're like purposely just like having things shot at you for no reason.
I'm with you.
No?
I'm with you on that. I'm not a huge fan of 3D movies. For one, they kind of make me motion sick a little bit
That's
when I'm
true.
in there.
Yeah.
They've been better. The last one I saw, I think, was The Martian. I've only seen a handful. The last one was The Martian, and some of it was kind of cool to see. Like he'd be on the ridge, and you'd be able to see or like perceive distance a lot better on Mars. But yeah, I mean, it didn't add anything to the movie. I mean, I typically go to movies not always for the visuals, but mostly for the story, and 3D would add nothing to that.
Have either anybody in this room ever watched a 3D movie on their TV at home or on someone else's 3D TV at home?
I have watched content. I don't even remember what the movie was. It was like a cartoon or something like that. It
Like
was-
Looney Tunes.
Yeah,
in 3D.
It was at my uncle's house, and I watched part of it. It's not really for me.
Yeah.
And now I take for the theater experience. I actually do like 3D there if it's filmed in 3D. The
Sure.
stuff that's rendered afterward usually sucks. But if they actually film it in 3D, like Mad Max, I watched in 3D.
That could be kind of cool. Are you dodging the stuff in the theater too? Are you that
Yeah.
kind of? Are you
Oh, yeah,
that
I
kind of
stand
watcher?
up and shove people out of
Yeah,
the
just
way.
like it's
out.
coming. Yeah, heads up, row 2.
That rock just killed you.
Oh my god.
No,
Okay.
not that bad, but it is.
You guys just made me feel better about my life. Thank you. So much better.
It is pretty fun. Taking a look at the chat here, I'm not seeing anybody with a 3D television so far.
Yeah, and
that
here's the
has
thing.
one.
So that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
3D TV, the headline of the story is 3D TV is officially dead, which
this
is
is an
only to say
article-
that, we
Yeah.
have an article up at digitaltrends.com right now. It's a lot of fun. I suggest you read that, but it comes as news to almost no one, it would seem, that Samsung didn't produce a 3D TV in 2016. We just went through an entire product year, almost coming up here in March, where there was no 3D TV option available from Samsung. LG has been phasing them out slowly, although on their E6 OLED from last year, you got 2 pairs of 3D goggles with them, and it could do 3D if you wanted it to. But LG doesn't plan on carrying the 3D torch much longer. Sony gave up on it. Panasonic, I'm not even sure if they're still making TVs anymore. Bless their hearts. I feel bad for them. But anyway, the fact of the matter is the major TV manufacturers have given up on 3D. And most people are like, oh, I didn't even realize that was still a thing. But there's this small cadre of fanatics who are really upset that nobody's going to be making a 3D TV, right? And their reasoning, none of it is valid. I'm sorry. So there's a petition at move.org, I think.
Move on.
Move on. That's got 6,000 some odd signatures petitioning LG specifically to commit to making an 3D TV in 2018.
Somebody cares that much?
I know. And here, the thing is, the funny part about it is the reason 3D TV lasted this long was because we went through a period where we replaced the big tube TVs with flat panel TVs. We went from plasma to LED, LCD, and they started getting really thin. And then they didn't know where to go with them. Like, how do you make your TV this year look way better than your TV last year? What's the cool thing, right?
Before 4K and quantum dot and all that.
Exactly, before they did 4K or HDR or quantum dots and more colors and stuff like that. They had no legitimate improvements. They could just make stuff thinner, but once you get that thin, where are you going to go?
Right.
So 3D was one of the things that they kept kind of pushing. And nobody wanted it, and it's for no, I mean, just like Naomi said, you got to put the stupid red-blue polarizing glasses on, or if it's not red and blue, it's just a different polarization, right?
Yeah.
Or there was the active shutter one where they were actually
Right, where you could just stand there and see it, right?
Well, no. So the glasses, instead of being a different polarization, it was actually shutting off one eye at a time.
So it's like
What?
Yeah,
Sounds like a
exactly.
malfunction.
So
Yeah.
the glasses would go completely dark, so that you were actually seeing only one eye was seeing the frame at a time, and that's how they pulled that off. And the thing is, In one case, you're cutting the brightness of the image.
Camera 1, camera 2,
But
camera
if
1,
you,
camera 2.
when
Right.
exactly, when you do go camera 1, camera 2 really fast like that, you're cutting the resolution in half. So your 1080 picture is no longer 1080, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there were all kinds of problems with it, and those were battery operated glasses. So you either had to replace the batteries, which were those stupid little circular watch batteries
yeah,
that you can't find
find
anywhere,
yeah.
and you're not getting the right one, even though you think you
Right.
are, because
Right.
it's too thin of a pancake when it's supposed to be thicker or whatever. But or you had to recharge them, and they only lasted for they didn't last the length of a 2-hour movie. So they just screwed it up over and over and over again, but they kept pushing it down our throats. And only now, when they finally stop and they give it up, does this small uprising of people come up and go,
6,000
wait a
people.
minute, you can't take away our 3D. And they're saying, but what's going to happen to all the 3D movies that we bought? Well, here's the thing. Your 3D movie came with a standard version too. So there's the 2D disc and then there's the 3D disc. You still have your movie. You just don't get to watch it in 3D anymore once your TV dies.
We want our shutter shades.
Yeah. I want a pair of those shutter shades, by the way.
I
If you
think
have
we
one.
actually have a pair of them sitting around, but here's the thing is that they're useless until you connect them to a 3D TV and it starts getting the signal from the 3D TV.
Dang. I think you just take like a normal 2D show and just, boop, do do it fast
Like
enough.
it's
There you
so
go. That's
awesome.
3D.
around.
Slap yourself in the face. the whole time.
Poor man's 3D set.
Oh, everything's so 3D in here.
It's like real life.
Yeah.
All right, we need to get on to these other topics. Real quick, though, Christian says, if anyone, Christian thinks that we're all in the Matrix, so pretty soon we'll be able to jump bodies. That's his take on it.
Pretty soon.
That sounds makes sense.
down the road. Yeah.
Caesar says, my local supermarket has 3D TVs, don't know why, and you don't need glasses, kind of like the screen on a 3DS. It really strains the eyes. Yeah, that sounds like somebody higher up in that chain or the supermarket was like 3D televisions, man. You got
Supermarket.
to invest in them.
Yeah.
And they've had them sitting in back for years. Now finally, that's what they become, is just displays at your supermarket.
Well, they can just transition to an antique shop pretty soon. It sounds like if they're not making them anymore.
Yeah. All right. So again, live on Facebook and YouTube, we want to hear your comments and questions, and we're going to get into some other topics here just before we round out the show. And this is jumping completely to something else. It's food and technology, which is we see technology keep infiltrating pretty much everything with smart homes and all kinds of different things. And now we've got some different things with food, and really this is a vehicle to get to the Tostitos breathalyzer, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But we do have this is a new thing for gluten-free, for people who are celiac, who are gluten-free. And it's a new system called
People with legitimate
Yeah, like-
gluten
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah. Portland, we're looking at you.
Oh, poor
Okay.
I was talking about this before the show. There's so many people who claim to be. Anyway.
I don't look at her. You can
Is this
just tell
chicken
she's-
gluten free?
So it's this system called NEMA, and it's basically a little box you take out with you, and you can stuff food into the tester tube, shove it into your electronic tester, and it will tell you if there is gluten in the food. And so I think it takes 5 minutes for this to happen. So somebody's going to order
Wow.
food, then
You
sit
know
there for
what?
5
I'm
minutes.
sick and tired
No,
of
I don't
products
like
that
this.
are made for stupid people, and this is a product made for stupid people. Look,
Who's gonna
if
wait
you have a
5
legitimate
minutes?
gluten intolerance, guess what? You know what has gluten in it and what doesn't. Don't you?
You got the hand ready.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh,
ready to slap
excuse
somebody.
me. Yeah.
I know you didn't right here. Is that what we're going to get?
I feel like you could just carry around a piece of paper that's just like a cheat sheet if you really need it.
Yes.
Not this like weird thing. It's like I'm gonna stuff like part of this and part of that in there, and then you wait for 5 minutes
I
and you're
think
And
people
if
just
it's
wanted
cold,
to
you're
know.
just like,
exactly.
okay.
Does feta cheese have gluten in it? I don't know. Let's find out.
Pouring beer in it.
For those that can't see it, that was the
Malfunction.
test.
Yeah, right.
She's shoving feta cheese into the tube.
Oh, what's feta? It looked like a
Yeah,
piece of
I
chicken
think
or
that was,
something.
I think it was feta. I
No,
don't-
somebody out there in Facebook land, please make me look like an a-hole right now and give me a legitimate reason for this kind of
Yeah,
a product.
somebody will actually
Something I'm
Caleb.
not thinking about, because right now all I can think of is people. No, I'm tired of products that get made just because somebody thought they had a fun idea and a bunch of stupid people supported it on Kickstarter.
Is
You
this
know
a
what I mean?
Kickstarter thing?
Like,
No, this is available for purchase. It came out,
Wow.
so it actually debuted last year at CES, and now it's just out. You can get the NEMA starter kit for $270.
God, these guys are
that
going to write
comes
me a
with
nasty gram.
one sensor, 3 one-time use test capsules. Oh, you can only test it
One
3
time
times.
use, that
3
sounds way
one-time
too
use
expensive.
capsules.
And a
No
micro
way.
USB battery recharging
No.
cable. And a
No
carrying
way.
pouch.
Next topic.
Yeah,
We're done. Yeah.
So that's a big
This
no.
doesn't even
That's
deserve
such
our
a waste of
attention.
money.
In fact, I'm a little disappointed you brought this up. Right?
You can read all about
Hands
the
again.
Neiman
Get the hand
at
again.
Just got the hand.
digitaltrends.com where we have
Slash
an
Greg
extensive
Nibbler.
article. All right, next topic.
And by stupid, I meant gullible.
Yeah,
just for the
whoever
record.
wrote it is just gonna hate us that we just like bagged on. I don't know who wrote the article, but
I believe the's a couple of people working on that one actually. That were involved,
yeah,
so.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
a group effort.
All
It's
right.
the entire DT staff.
All right, well, let's go to one that somebody at here wrote, Rick Stella, and this has to do with brewing beer on the moon. So this is an article Rick wrote, one small sip for man. That's pretty
Yeah.
damn good. That was good.
Yeah.
Engineering students aim to brew first beer on the moon. And so it's part of the Google Lunar X Prize competition.
Yeah, so with the X Prize competition, the Google Lunar one specifically, they were issuing contracts to various companies to send a spacecraft to the moon, and the companies would kind of present their I guess model for experiments and whatnot. And there's a team called Team Indus that's holding it won one of the contracts. It's now holding its own competition for people to send things. It's sort of not really auctioning off space, but giving away space on its spacecraft.
Gotcha.
To send their
Which
own
is
experiments.
valuable.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that's-
And so this team of engineers from UC San Diego is going to create a little capsule that will allow them to brew beer in space and on the moon. They're testing the properties of yeast in space, and so one of the ways that they're going to do that is to see how beer can be brewed in space. And so it's like a little 3-part capsule that will, once it gets on the moon or in outer space, will sort of activate and
Just start
hopefully
brewing
make
beer.
moon beer. Yeah.
That's
so it'll be
pretty
like
cool.
it's really tiny. It's not going to brew too much, but it will at least go through sort of some of the steps of activating the yeast. And,
But that's the important things people need to think about with space travel. You're going to have beer. I mean, it's going to get really,
yeah,
really
screw
boring.
VR. Like, let's just get like, you know, a couple fifths of whiskey. They've sent whiskey to the moon before too. I know Suntory Whiskey did that a couple years ago. So everybody that's thinking booze and space, they're on the right track.
Yeah, that's the right way to think about it. I think.
But like we said before, they're sending it up there on an unmanned spaceship, which means it's going to be on the moon. No one's going to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah, but Elon Musk will just swing through and grab it.
on his
You
way
know,
to Mars.
on his
Yeah,
way
I need to make a
Mars.
stop real
Hold
quick.
on
Can
real
you-
quick.
yeah, take a left.
That's what we're doing. We're basically stocking the moon up with booze, so to make the trip to Mars a little bit easier.
Right.
It's a little stop on the way. By the way,
Yeah.
can I just say that the word yeast makes me uncomfortable inside? Ugh.
I'm just going to bleep that so no one
never
knows
heard of
what
that.
word it was.
Except for all of our
Yeah,
Facebook
only you
Live.
guys listening live will
Yeah.
know. The podcast will have no idea.
Yeast for some people is like moist for others. It's just like nobody.
So it's your moist.
It's my
Gotcha.
moist. Yeast is
Okay.
my moist.
Yeah, no, I do not like that.
These
Trill
people are
is
doing
my
real
word.
scientific
Sentence.
work, Caleb. Yeah.
All right, let's get on to our final one here. And this is, I mean, the Super Bowl, we're probably not banned from saying that, whatever, is coming up next weekend. And as usual, there's always some kind of a product tie-ins and technology that happens. And there's this one now from Frito-Lay and Pepsi teaming up with Uber. Caleb can barely contain himself right now
I
to
just
talk about
can't.
this. It is a Tostitos bag. They're going to be giving away 1,000 of these that also doubles as a breathalyzer. So on the bag itself, it's got a little thing you blow into, and if you come up and you're clean, there's no alcohol. It lights up green. If you don't, it's got a big red symbol that'll light up and say "Don't drink and drive." It's NFC
steering
capable,
wheel? Yeah.
so you tap your phone to it, and it will call you an Uber and give you $10 off. So that's how this thing is
Like at the
supposed to work.
store, and it's like just one bag of chips. Like, thank you, sir. The $85. You're like, what? It's like,
Can I
My
just
ride's
say
waiting for you
that
right
if
now.
you need a bag of chips to tell if you're drunk, you're probably drunk.
And that, and
smashing into a bag of
I was
chips.
actually going to say, you will never see the green version of
Yeah.
this bag
No.
because everybody who would ever use such a thing will definitely be drunk.
Yeah. And
With that
that's,
said, this is not a stupid product. That is some clever freaking marketing right there.
I think it's some great marketing.
Somebody put their thinking cap on and came up with something pretty awesome. So,
Probably when they were drunk eating a bag of chips.
is it from is it from
Gary, don't
Tostitos or
drive, dude.
Doritos?
Yeah.
It's from Tostitos,
So-
which is owned by Frito-Lay,
Yeah.
which is owned by Pepsi.
Right.
Gotcha.
I'm just surprised, like for all of the different chips out there that Frito-Lay is over, why the Tostitos brand?
I agree with that because Tostitos to me are pretty boring. I mean, without any kind of a
With-
dip.
well, you got to
what
have
good are they?
salsa, and that's
Yeah.
amazing. But like, I
It's
mean,
a party chip.
but Doritos isn't Doritos a Frito-Lay product? Somebody check me on this. But if
They might be
know.
Nabisco.
really,
I don't know.
But Doritos would be the odds on. Like,
I
would be
mean,
much better.
if they did, then
experiment
you would
like this.
definitely want to put it with a Dorito. I don't think I'd put it with a Frito though.
Oh, it is a Frito-Lay. It is
See,
a Frito-Lay.
anything
We've
that
solved
ends in
this.
toes,
The magic
is
of technology.
from Frito-Lay.
Okay,
Which is
so
crazy,
you're,
'cause, yeah, I
so you're
imagine
just
if you're-
upset it's the wrong chip?
I'm not really upset. I'm just bewildered.
Okay.
I think
There's
it
a
makes
difference.
sense, though. Chip and dip at a party.
Well, yeah, no, that's true. But
You know, and
don't you
that's
think
the-
that like I guess if you're making nachos, you'd probably have a Tostito in there
Yeah.
instead of a Dorito.
But you're thinking drunk people would more sooner open into a bag of
I
Cool
think-
Ranch
They would
definitely eat
than
Doritos
corn
first.
chips.
Y-
Yeah.
y- Look, I mean, if you assemble a bunch of drunk stoners in one place and you put out a spread of different chips, I guarantee you they're going for the Doritos.
Unless
You think
the
Doritos is
Tostitos-
gonna
All
be
of
the one?
them.
I think, yeah.
Drew says chili Fritos are what it should have been on. Chili Fritos. Okay, I
That
can
sounds
see
like
Those are
that.
something.
good.
Is
Field
that our
tested.
Drew?
No, that's
No.
not our Drew.
Oh,
No,
okay.
this is Drew B.
I think they're the same Drew, really.
There's only one Drew in the world. All right, well, but I mean, still, the technology is kind of cool.
No,
I mean, the
absolutely.
applications maybe.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a jerk on this product. I think it's brilliant marketing, and
It's just the wrong chips.
I mean, so are they deploying these widely? Like, will a lot of
Yeah,
people be
there's
able to get
thousands.
them?
You're going to have to win them, I think. It's 1,000 bags. I believe. Now, this just came out, and so I'm trying to verify everything about how it works. But
going
yeah,
to
I
have
don't
to
think you're going to be
win
able to go
them.
just buy this because that would probably be rather expensive.
Yeah,
and
right.
they just get
I
I
stolen.
think both Naomi and I are feeling a little deflated right now.
I'm sorry.
really excited.
I'm gonna see. Maybe we can get a test bag. We probably can.
And Drew has the NFC chip in his hand. Speaking of Drew, and this
Yeah,
is
that's our
NFC
Drew.
enabled.
So there we go. Now we need to get
We're
a hold
onto
of
something.
Frito-Lay. Please send that in.
Yeah.
Just make it
Please.
Doritos.
We have a
for
cyborg
Caleb,
among us.
if you could. Doritos are what you would go with. What bag of chips would you
I mean,
want them on? Naomi?
Funyuns, obviously.
Funyuns.
Ooh,
Okay.
Funyuns. Takis.
What
Yeah.
one?
Takis.
Takis.
It's
Hot
like
Takis.
spicy chips.
Yeah,
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
it's what the kids eat, dude.
That's what they're into.
Yeah. Actually, I know. You know what? I mean, I'm all about the Tostitos because I love me some chips and salsa. So
you
you know
just-
that would be good.
Okay.
Giving
But
them
Tostitos,
crap
what about
No,
the
I just think if you wanted to get more people excited, it would make more sense on a
Yeah,
Doritos bag.
if
than
they're
a
actually selling
Tostitos.
them.
What about the hint of lime Tostitos though?
Ooh.
So sorry, you're gonna have to bleep that.
right.
No. That is an abomination.
I'm
That's
just
like
gonna bleep
You don't
that's
like
like
those?
that's like the Corona margarita. What are you doing? Stop it.
I like the lime ones.
No.
I
This has been Trends with Benefits this week.
We've gotten kicked off
anymore.
Facebook.
Wow,
Yeah, we're
get
swearing
out
on
of here,
air.
Caleb.
Yeah.
Started off swearing at Zuckerberg, and now
By the
we're
way,
to this.
Caleb, have you lost 20 pounds?
Your face looks slimmer.
You guys are mean. We're not friends anymore.
All right, send us an email, podcast at digitaltrends.com. Thanks so much, everybody, tuning in. We're live every week, Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time on Facebook, YouTube, podcast. After that, you can get it on iTunes or digitaltrends.com/podcast. You can find out about all the things we were talking about on our website. And we'll be back next week with another episode.
I love you guys. I love you guys so much.